There was a turtle by the name of Bert, and Bert the turtle was very alert. When danger threatened, he never got hurt. He knew just what to do. This video is about the famous or infamous, if you prefer, duck and cover civil defense video shown to children between 1951 and 1952 and 1991. I never saw it. I was sort of surprised to see that it was still available to schools in 1991 because I graduated in 1998 or 1988 and never got shown to us in school. So apparently it wasn't a big deal for us. Other schools might have still been seeing it. The big thing I want to talk about this is it's not what everyone says it is. Everyone talks about how we showed films to children saying if they hid under their desks they could be protected from a nuclear bomb. And Duck and Cover was not about that. It had nothing to do with getting hit by a bomb. Fact of the matter is, if you actually pay attention to the film, then that fact will come out. Now, the film was about 9 minutes and 15 seconds long. The song I sung was Dick Two-Ton Baker. So what was Duck and Cover about? Duck and Cover was what you do if a bomb hits a couple miles away. Nothing about it said it would protect you from a bomb. It was what to do if a bomb lands nearby. And for that purposes, it was a good video. Not ideal. Obviously, the best thing to do is not have nuclear war. But when it comes to what you can do in the event of a nuclear war, then it was actually very good advice, despite what everyone wants to criticize it without actually having seen the video, because, like I said, while it was available for almost 40 years, most people who want to criticize it never actually saw it. Those who did see it didn't quite pick up that this is not what you do if a bomb lands on your house. This is what you do if a bomb lands a couple miles away. And that was the main purpose. Now, there were two trigger points for this. Like I said, first was if an alarm goes off. You hear the alarm, duck and cover. And in that case, yes, it's possible the bomb will land on you. But again, this was 1952. We didn't have laser-guided Patriot missiles back then. We had airplanes dropping bombs. When the sirens go off, you know that a bomb is on its way, or potentially a bomb is on the way. You know an air raid's going on. You don't know if they have a nuclear bomb or not. And you don't know where they're going to drop it. Obviously, if you're downtown, large population center, there's a better chance they're going to drop it on you than if you're out in the suburbs. But still, you don't know where they're going to drop it. So, duck and cover. It may or may not protect you directly, but again, we don't know that until the bomb's actually dropped. So, yes, if they drop it on my house, duck and cover does me no good. If they drop it downtown, it might do me some good. The second one they mention is, you see the flash, duck and cover. Now, just about everyone, during a thunderstorm, you see lightning, you count, and you can tell how far away the lightning strike was from how much time passes between the lightning and the thunder. Light travels faster than sound. Sound, thunder, it's basically a shock wave given off by the lightning, and nuclear bombs are the same. You have an explosion, there's a flash of light, there's a shock wave that goes out. Shock wave's a little more lethal than a thunder shock wave, so we want to do something about it. So again, duck and cover. You see the flash. If you have time to take cover, then the bomb's not going to kill you instantly. It's far enough away that it's not going to kill you. And that, again, is what duck and cover was designed for. It was not for people at ground zero. It was for people a distance away. This was a film shown to school children, so we just didn't talk about what happened to the people at ground zero because we didn't want to upset the children. You know. But Mr. Announcer, what about my daddy? Ha ha ha, Timmy, your dad's dead. No, we didn't do that. Or we could have introduced it with, when the bombs are dropped, people at ground zero will be mangled carcasses of burned flesh. This is for you lucky ones not at ground zero. No, instead they started off with a song about a cartoon turtle. Now, so the big thing you almost always hear people say is, duck and cover said you could survive a nuclear bomb if you hide under a blanket. No, it didn't. There was one scene in the movie, if you watch the film, which you can see on YouTube, if you weren't lucky enough to see it in school or forced to watch it in school, where it shows people on a picnic. The guy yells, duck and cover. People grab the blanket and hide under it. Again, that is not saying the bomb is hitting the person. It is just saying, this is a good thing to do. And it is. Because, here we go, duck and cover. The bomb goes off in the distance. The shockwave goes off, as I said. The shockwave is going to throw up all sorts of debris. We know this. During nuclear tests, they actually built little villages and stuff to see how it would survive the nuclear blast. You can see films of that online if you look it up. And so at a distance, outside of the kill zone of the bomb itself, what I want to do is I want to get down, I want to cover my head, because while the bomb's not going to kill me directly, all this flying debris can kill or do serious damage to me. And that's what duck and cover was. You see the flash, something's happened a couple miles away, you've got a couple seconds to take cover before the shockwave hits. They didn't explain this again because they didn't want to upset the children with people at the blast site are all dead. Out on a picnic. Okay, so the blanket's not going to protect you from flying debris. Presumably the people under the blanket are covering their heads. However, there's going to be a lot of dust in the air. There's going to be fallout. Again, we know all of this from the testing. So, yes, having a blanket over you is going to protect you a little bit more than not having a blanket over you. Just because you don't want dirt in your eyes. You don't want radioactive, fallout getting on you. It provides a little protection. It's a worthwhile thing to do. Now, one thing we did have, even though we never saw duck and cover, the basements at our school had civil defense placards around them, because that was a safe place to be in a nuclear bomb war. No. Civil defense shelters were no more protection than duck and cover was. No one wants to criticize civil defense shelters. They want to criticize duck and cover, but they were really the same thing. If I'm in the shelter and a bomb hits the school, I am just as dead as the people outside the shelter. If I'm in the shelter and the bomb hits 2 miles away, the shelter's a great place to be, just as duck and cover is a great thing to do. It's all the same, No one wants to criticize the shelters because they make us feel safer, and in our minds, yes, they can somehow survive. Now, the bunkers, which, everyone wants to confuse shelters with bunkers. When the bombs come and they rush the president away to a bunker, that is not a basement. That is several stories down underground. It is specifically designed to hopefully survive a nuclear attack. So, Just because the president is taken to a bunker doesn't mean that going to the local shelter is going to protect me. Because the shelters and the bunkers are two completely different things. One is a lot more protection than the other. Now, as I said, Duck and Cover was made in January 1952. We really only had 5 nuclear explosions, man-made nuclear explosions. Well, I guess that doesn't make a difference. 5 nuclear explosions to base this off of. All our information on what to do in the event of a nuclear war came from the data collected with 5 nuclear explosions. There was July 16th, 1945, the Trinity nuclear tests. At 5:29 a.m., they exploded what was called the Gadget, which was the first test bomb. We don't have a whole... We collected data from it. We did not collect as much data as we would have liked to. Truman, the president, was getting ready for some peace negotiations, and he gave orders, I want this test to be done before the negotiations, because it doesn't really, couldn't find any information on why he said this. I can think of 2 potential reasons. First one being, there's the possibility that the treaty negotiations, people are going to say, let's stop doing nuclear testing. And so he wanted to have a bomb ready. Yes, I know you all are worried about nuclear testing, but we've already tested a bomb, so we already have one in our arsenal. The other possible reason is when you are going to peace negotiations, it's always good to have the biggest weapon in your arsenal. So having a successful nuclear test would be a good way to get our way, And we agree with you on these points, but we still have the bomb, and maybe you should agree with us on these other points. Like that, I don't know which of those was really done, but or which was the actual reason, but those are the 2 most likely reasons I can think of. Next. So basically, it was rushed. The scientists performing the tests did put it off as much as possible while still meeting the deadline, because this is our chance to study subatomic reactions, that we wouldn't be able to study in a lab. So they did as much as they could, postponed as much as possible so that they could set up as many tests as possible. But they didn't have as much time as they would have liked to have to actually test the bomb. So we got data from it. We didn't get as much data as we would have liked to have gotten. The next 2 were August 6, 1945, Little Boy was dropped on Hiroshima. August 9th, 1945, Fat Man was dropped on Nagasaki. And here, again, we didn't get to study it as we would have liked to. We were able to go in after the fact and see the results of the bomb. We weren't able to set up cameras and see them going off and all this other stuff that a scientist would have liked to have done to get more data, because obviously we were at war with Japan. The Japanese weren't going to let us set up cameras so that we could see how our ultimate weapon worked. Common sense. So we got data after the fact. We didn't get as much data as scientists would have liked to have gotten, just because we didn't have the, we were at war at the time. We couldn't set up what we wanted to do. Then came Operation Crossroads. This was nuclear testing at the Bikini Atoll. Took place in 1946. There were 3 bombs planned. Only 2 were set off. First one was Gilda. It was codenamed Shot Able. This was an air explosion over the Bikini Atoll done on July 1st, 1946. During the Bikini Atoll testing, they put a bunch of ships around. These were ships that were planned to be decommissioned, derelicts, a couple ones we hope to reuse. And this was sort of the closest we had to a village. You know, what's going to happen when the bomb goes off? How does it affect surrounding things? So this data on the effects of the bomb and knowing that shockwave's going to go out this far and it's going to throw this much debris around came from what happened to these ships that were positioned around the atoll. The next one was Helen of Bikini. It was codenamed Shot Baker. This was done on July 25th, 1946. This was intended to be a shallow water burst. So basically, instead of going off in the air, the bomb went off on the ground. It was successful. The problem with this was it threw up a large mist of contaminated water, which contaminated all the ships that were around it. So basically there was a large cleanup problem that had to be taken care of here, because we wanted to reuse these for the third one, which never got done because all these ships were contaminated. We discovered that it wasn't worth, the cleanup process wasn't worth doing a third test. We had to take care of what we were dealing with. Yeah, the third one was codenamed Shot Charlie. It was later done off the coast of Mexico in the 50s. But that was not done prior to Duck and Cover being filmed. Another thing about Shot Baker was that it did a lot more damage to the ships than was expected. So, again, we got a lot more data on what was going to happen to buildings and stuff based on what happened to these ships. And so that's how Duck and Cover comes around, and we know, okay, a bomb goes off, debris is going to be thrown for miles around. People outside of the main blast zone are still at risk from this flying debris. If they duck and cover, it's actually a good thing for them to be doing. And so again, everyone, here we are, 70 years later, 75 years later, people are criticizing Duck and Cover because it said that a blanket protects you from a nuclear bomb. No, it doesn't. It said that a blanket protects you from dust thrown off from a nuclear bomb that goes off miles away. It was useful advice. It was good advice. In some ways, it was better than some of the advice given to us on COVID. So Duck and Cover was actually more successful than what we're doing today in some ways. Just one last thing is, so I watched the Duck and Cover video a few years ago, just because I'd heard about it. I was just curious about it. I wasn't doing videos at the time. When I decided to make this video, I decided, hey, let's go and watch the film strip again, or the movie again, just so I can familiarize myself with it and be more accurate. And I found this time when doing my search that, the national parks, you can actually buy a Bert the Turtle plushie. So that is one good thing that came from this, is Bert the Turtle plushies. Possibly the best thing that came from Duck and Cover, because we never had to use it other than plushies. So that's all I had to say. So thanks from me, thanks from Bert, and have a good day.